This is another special conversation where we are exploring, I guess, some of the real life challenges which a Scrum Master may face. We are basically focusing on a particular context. We are not having generic conversation. We are having specific conversation with our participant. But the idea here is when we do this specific conversation, it may give some useful sharing for generic conversation as well. Many times you may get some idea by listening to this whole confusion related to implementation, working with people, and I don't know what else. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. You may want to speak a little bit and then we get started with your queries. Yeah.
Okay, so hello, Saket. I'm going to do a brief introduction of myself. I am a project manager working on a software development company. I'd like to call myself as a agile project manager. So I am heavily relied on Scrum framework. So today I would like to have some real life scenarios with you.
Perfect.
So to see how potentially the Scrum framework would be adopted in such a cases. So whenever you're ready, I can start.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
Okay. So I would invite you to imagine a scenario when you don't have a very defined, let's say, product vision. So thus you are having a very scarce product backlog. So in this way you are relying very much on your stakeholders as so you're using your sprint review event in order to determine further tasks. So but you know how stakeholders are and business world is, so they are sometimes missing the event, and this is having a domino effect on your rest of the ceremonies. So I would like to hear your takes on that, and how would you tackle this issue?
Okay. So I am seeing two things, and we can focus on where we should dig more. One is that how to deal with a situation when we don't have very defined roadmap vision, and we are relying on feedback. Yeah. So how do we organize that particular work? In general, I can say that we organize that particular work in the form of defining small experimentation period, maybe for a month or two, and define that every iteration, every sprint, we'll figure it out what is done and what can be done next. And based on 2-3 months of such kind of exploration, in just a second, we decide how we want to take this whole work forward. So that's one thing. Now, if that's your intention, I am suspecting that's your intention, then the second challenge is coming. Yeah, we want to do that, but people are not showing up into iteration sprint reviews, and that derails the whole process. So am I going right till here?
Yes, you are straight as an arrow.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Now, when we are unable to take the engagement there, in our project management term, in any case, you can say that working with people and stakeholder is very, very important. Many times when you are working on initiative where multiple people have their say, and since they have multiple people have their partial interest in it, nobody takes the full interest in it. That could be a one situation, or situation could be that you are working on something which is not the priority for the stakeholder. Many times it is priority, it's a futuristic thing, but many of the stakeholder might be stuck in their current problems. I want to work this product so that it will replace my current problematic product, but I don't have time for the new product. Yeah, because my problematic product is keeping me busy. So we need to identify where is the problem, why people are unable to engage with us. Are they not interested, or they are interested but they have other burning things to work on? And depending upon my stakeholder analysis, that's the word I use in a project management space, I need to find out how do I work forward. I need to engage them, because finding some shortcuts, doing something whatever is visible, or keeping my team busy, keep showing them something, may not work for long. Yeah, it may help you in doing one or two more sprints, But I think the ultimate goal is identifying something which matters, and we find out how do we move forward. So stakeholder analysis could be a good starting point. Maybe identifying some stakeholders who can invest their time, taking some recognized view from them, maybe supporting them by way of your team doing part of analysis, giving them more and more ready-made requirements so they can make more decision making rather than collecting ideas and presenting to them. Sometimes that becomes a problem. Many times in such situations, we end up doing business analysis ourselves as a team, but we go to the stakeholder to identify what is the right thing to do, because we can't take the decision, because our decisions may invest organization money and resources in a direction which might not be a right direction.
Yeah, I get your point, most definitely. But I would like to add something. And I hope we are not going to repeat ourselves. Maybe you said this on another way, but could it be that the stakeholders just cannot see the business value in our approach, on our analysis, on our events? For example, they don't know why you have to be stuck on some conference room for 2 hours. So maybe they are not seeing that we are not aligned to their vision, to their business leverage.
Now, there are two things coming here. One thing is that are they see a value in our work, or that itself is question marked? That's the one thing. Second thing, they may value our work, but they may not want to follow the communication mode, the communication method which we are asking for them, like coming in a conference room and giving the feedback. So we need to find out which one is the bigger problem. If they don't see a value in our project initiative itself, then we have a bigger problem. Yeah, probably that then we don't have a way forward. But if the issue is all about the style of communication, the type of engagement, they may say, oh, give me something I will read and tell you, or give me something I can watch and give you, or maybe have a meeting for 15-20 minutes rather than 2 hours. Come to me, ask some specific question, I will answer it, but I will not come into your review and demo. Then I need to do that. Okay, I have a stakeholders and they have a different communication needs. They may not fit into my preferred communication style, where I want everybody participate in a sprint review, see it and give me the feedback. That's my expectation, but that's not what the stakeholder are willing to do. If they can give me 15 minutes time, they can give me half an hour times where I need to focus on their question, their interest area, take an input and go somewhere else. Yeah. So if that is a problem, 2 hours sitting in a one room is a problem, then I need to adapt to, especially the critical stakeholders, communication and engagement style, and probably create some different way of engaging with them. Yes, there is a risk. There is a risk of not sharing information at a common platform, but risk of not engaging is far bigger than engaging in a pockets. So I need to take a judgment call. I probably have a product owner who might be knowing some amount of domain. I need to identify someone who can, from my team, who is working closely with the team, who can do this engagement on a continuous basis and compile the things and find out a best communication mode which is suitable for stakeholders.
Yes, yes. What here we understand, what we do understand with the position of a project manager is more like a combination of Scrum Master and product owner accountabilities altogether. So, what I wanted to ask you is that could it be that even the stakeholders don't have that vision that you're looking for? What if they think that while they're employed you, they believe you're gonna come up with some vision and you're gonna help them, so they don't have to do all the heavy work by themselves? Could it be the case?
It could be the case. Now, I'm not saying it's a Scrum or non-Scrum. Many times, when the organization hire project manager as well as a project team, they are looking someone who can give them the solution. Now, before giving them a solution, you may need to define the problem also. Many times, project manager may employ some business analysis skill, maybe doing himself or involving some team member who can do a problem analysis, come up with a problem statement, and present that back to the stakeholder to take a feedback that, okay, are we getting the problem right? So yes, the amount of assistance is needed. In a Scrum world, the way they have designed the framework, that assistance was done by a role called product owner. So whoever is playing a role of a product owner, that is the expected role. That, okay, I understand stakeholder needs and expectation. Stakeholders are not going to elaborate the requirement to me. I am the one who need to discover it. I am the one who will do one-on-one interaction, give them a demo, show them something, show the competitor website, work differently with different people, and finally come up with the requirement which my team can focus on. So that's a product owner role. Now, if you don't have that role, if the project manager is expected to do that role, still more or less the activity and objective is the same. You need to figure it out what needs to be done, and stakeholder may not give you the detailed requirement because they don't probably have a skill to communicate with the development team. They just want to give you their problem, and from their problem we need to define the real problem and come up with the possible alternatives of the solution, and then take a feedback again back from them, which solution looks good, then give a solution, maybe develop something and give it to them, make them use it, make them feel it, and then take a feedback again. Then you learn it. Once you have a one or two versions where people can feel and sense, and if somehow you can get started with the uses, even if a small uses, then you start getting a lot of requirement. Say, if I have to make a big application, if somehow I can find out a small piece and put that small piece into the uses, then rest of the requirement will elaborate automatically. It's just a problem till the time we don't have something to play with.
Yes, this is right. I believe from this point on, the right choice would be to involve the team in the product discovery. It's like understanding everything regarding the product and coming with some approaches, maybe doing some competition analysis to see what is there in the market. Okay,
Perfect.
but even those things have some costs, right? Because what if you invest your time building the wrong features, let's say?
So the whole idea is a feedback loop. So you invest the time, you make something, and you reach to a stage where it can be felt and seen. The sooner you reach there, the better and concrete feedback you will start getting. If you are only taking feedback on the idea, the feedback is not that concrete. And it might be a right idea or wrong idea, but it all depends how we implement that idea. So yes, there is a cost. If you want to manage that cost, you need to find out, how can I reduce the feedback loop? How fast we can have something which can be felt, seen, used, so that stakeholder get hooked to it and we come to know the real requirements.
Okay, but talk a bit more about the status of the stakeholders within the Scrum framework. For example, do they have? I believe they have like an optional status. They are not like they are not mandatory to be a part of the sprint review, because my concern is that, okay, you are reducing the feedback loop, the iteration on 2 weeks, let's say, but what if you didn't build enough features for them to get them hooked? So you're gonna like waste your chances. They're not gonna come again. So it's nothing, they're gonna say, right?
So few things. Let's start from Scrum and stakeholder, and then talk about when should we go to the stakeholder. Then when we have something hookable. Not necessarily at the end of a first sprint alone. Let's start from Scrum framework. What I believe is the problem you are sharing, they are traditional all the time problem with software development projects. People want to get something, they want to give money to us, they hire the vendor, and when the vendor or the team goes to them and says, tell me the requirement, then they look at you and says, that's why we brought you in. We thought you will do it, without we telling you, without we explaining you much, but you will figure it out. That's why we got you here. And then the whole things comes, the vendor thinks of something, and then things get derailed in the whole process. And then the discussion between this is part of scope, this is out of scope, you never told us, we told you, and all these collaboration issues starts coming in. That has been a problem since we started software development. Now Scrum thought we can solve this problem by creating a character called product owner, and they believe this is a problem which a role called product owner should resolve, and the product owner will figure it out how he or she handles it. Yeah. So in a way, a good assumption, good expectation, but many times that product owner role may struggle in achieving the same objective. So from a framework perspective, they expect that there should be a powerful, knowledgeable, intelligent market insight guy called product owner, and he or she is the one who tells the right requirement to the team, and team performs the job. That's how they see it. But in reality, the people who are expected to collect the feedback may struggle to achieve that particular thing. So that's a Scrum framework role kind of stuff. Now, when we come to taking things to the stakeholder, yeah. So Scrum is not saying that each iteration you need to take the work to the stakeholder. They are saying product owner should decide when and how it should take. So it is usually required that you find out the minimum viable product, the smallest set, which may take 2-3 iterations before you reach there. In between, you want to mitigate your risk by way of discussing with some of the stakeholders who are giving their time and attention to you. But you may need to have something tangible so that people can really sense it, feel it, and give you a feedback, yeah, which may not happen at the end of 2 weeks.
Yeah, fair enough.
But the sooner that happen, the better it is, because they start getting something at their hand. Yeah.
Do you feel like imagine a particular situation when you lack heavily, the documentation of the life of the product. Imagine that the product hasn't started with you. It's been living, let's say, for a long time, and you don't have much of documentation, so you don't have it's very difficult now to navigate from this point on to know what is the exact state of the product. So do you feel like this is a real challenge?
So there are two things. One is that, is it a technical challenge or is it a future roadmap challenge? Now, it could be a technical challenge, yeah, where we don't know where all things are placed, how the configuration is done, where all, say, shortcut has been taken. There is no inventory of shortcuts. So it could be a big technical challenge. But when you talk about business roadmap related challenge, I don't see that's a big issue, because you already have a lot of data. You know what is getting used, you know what kind of issues you have reported, you know who are your customer. So you are very comfortable stage when it comes to requirement elicitation and roadmap, or thinking about what next is needed. Features identification, prioritization, that part is better done now, because you have a usage happening. As soon as your product gets started used, it generate the data and the intelligence on its own. Yeah. And that's why the sooner we give it to the stakeholder, the sooner it starts generating the intelligence. But yes, there could be a technical challenge. That could be a possibility.
Yes. Okay. So I would like you to please explain to me how would the product discovery process would look to you. How would you perform a product discovery?
So in the case where the product is already in use, or it's a new thing?
No, it is already in use. So you want to figure it out, where are we standing right now and what we should do, how we should proceed from this point on.
Perfect. Yeah. So if again we are talking little hypothetically, but I share how I start. Assuming I have a product and it has some set of users. Now I can start with identifying what are the major concerns, how the people are using the product. So I will look at the issue logs or reports or escalations or dissatisfactions which people have shared related to their product, or you can say taking and analyzing the feedback. The second possible thing, I can do the user interviews to understand, again, more or less, I want to understand how they are using, but I can find out their user related feedbacks as well. The third thing I can possibly do is, if the product supports that, I can find out the usage pattern of various features. I can, if I have that intelligence data, I can see which portion is getting more intelligence, more visits. So say if I'm using that product, I'm looking at my few customers who are using that. I see which particular screen, which particular area they are spending the maximum time in. Yeah. I can also ask them to show how they use the product. Yeah. So I identify what all flows and steps they are taking and where they are getting a block. Based on that, I can identify how can I reduce the time the person takes to perform their job. So right now, for example, I need to generate an invoice. I take few steps to generate an invoice. And as a user, I end up spending 6 minutes to generate an invoice. I can think of how can possibly I can reduce the customer journey and take it to a 2 minutes time. So that's an improvement kind of thing which I can and figure it out. That's a usage pattern based research. Again, we can do in a multiple way, but it's basically how the product is getting used and where are the challenges. It could be based on benchmarking also, as you yourself spoke about it. We can say in which market segment we are operating, what other people are doing, what are the successful products are doing, do we have a benchmark, and where do we lack, what is something which we need to overcome so that we have a benchmark available. That could be a second approach, which is an external or a competitor oriented approach. The third approach could be what possibly can be innovated in the product. Users are not aware of it, competitors are also not doing it, but based on the market, the technology development, you see that there are some opportunities which can make the user experience or the overall uses of the product little better. Yeah, so we need to find out what we want to achieve here. Yeah, do we want to reduce the time? Do we want to make more money by way of attracting customer and giving them more options, or we want to sell more by way of taking the competitor and finding out the external features are also available in our product? Yeah, there could be various dimensions.
Yes, the last portion of what you mentioned is more like setting OKRs, I believe, objectives and key results.
Yeah,
this is also comes after the product discovery, right? You understood pretty much what you're going to do, and then you are setting objectives and how you know that.
It's possible it can come before also. So for example, you have a product, and my objective is right now I need to deploy 10 hours doing this activity. I want to reduce it to 5.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is my objective, my people time. The project, that solution is very difficult to use. We want to improve the uses performance so that my people spend less time on it. Now that's a objective, and the key result could be that the number of hours spent on that machine or on that particular system should be reduced by 50%. Yeah, or I may want to deploy less people for doing this particular job because all this repetitive action I want to get rid of. That can lead us to discover a product. So the idea here is we have a problem or an opportunity, and then we are looking at our product to find out how we can achieve that opportunity, how can we exploit that opportunity or resolve a given problem. Problem could be this machine requires a restart every 24 hours probably. Now we don't want to do that. Yeah, we know we have a problem at hand and we need to resolve that.
Okay, that's good. I believe there is you helped me with a lot of ambiguities I've been having. So that's a good conversation we're having. Okay, I would like you to invite another scenario. They may look like a bit hypothetical, but I'm trying to disguise them and not to saying that, okay, these are real things. But this is not a problem, I guess. Okay, let's imagine that you have a live application in production. So the most of the work has been done. So you are mostly what you're doing is now based on a particular feedback of any stakeholder or user, you are doing a subtle changes, some feature modifications. Do you believe that Scrum in this particular context is not the right approach? It's more like a Kanban way of working.
So I would say that it depends upon, do you want to do time boxing or non-time boxing? So yes. I would say rather than having discussion about should we have Scrum or should we not have it, we should think of, do we have a time box or not time box? Yeah. If you see that there is a value in time boxing, then you can definitely work with a Scrum approach, which means you want to say that we want to focus on what are we going to do this quarter. We want to have some forecast for the quarter and work in for that 2 months, 3 months time box, and we do some things in that and then release it. Then it's good. But if you think, my life can change every day, then probably I can work in a Kanban way.
Okay. So that's good. Okay, the next question it's going to be more like a technical, but anyway, we can translate it to the real life scenarios. Okay, agile story point estimation. So what I've been seeing, it's a bit troubling because when we try to do an estimation, when we ask, how much you think the story is valued, uh, developers who are accountable for doing estimation, they mostly think on a timeline approach. They think how much is going to take, 5 story points estimation. How much is 5-point estimation? Is like 10 hours, is 2 days. And I feel this is not the right way of doing estimations. It's like what I'm asking for you is how to do it the right way, how to do it, kind of relative estimation, how it's supposed to be.
So it's like this. We need to find out what is the goal of estimation.
Yes.
Why you want to do relative, why don't you want to go into a specific timings? So idea here is we do relative estimation when our idea is more rough, raw information. It's a high level estimation. We don't know exact details. We don't even know the acceptance criteria of the user story. We have a high level understanding of the user story. And at that point in time, getting into fine grained details of how I will going to do it, who will do it, which class we will use, which sequence we will use might be too much. So we want to say, guys, let's figure it out. Is it small enough or is it big enough? Or if how big, let's figure that out. But when I have a work which I need to do next week and I'm saying estimate it, everybody will have an intention to identify who is going to work on it, what is needed, what is the exact sequence, do we have that library available or not, and the detail starts emerging because people need to plan their work for upcoming days. So if you are doing short duration estimate where the people are expected to act very soon, there is a tendency to go into the time or effort based estimation. If you are doing little forecasting or a long term estimation, then it is easier for people to think in a relative term because as of now, they are not thinking of doing that. Yeah. So that's a one area. Now, even when you are doing short term estimation, if you have done little bit relative number, that relative number help you in doing future forecast. How probably things will go in future if you are doing this particular type of work. So probably you need to find out what kind of estimation you need. But if you have a running product, the features are coming, they will get delivered soon, probably you may find difficult to get into a story point estimation. You may just start forecasting how typically a one feature or one request takes to get delivered. Probably you don't need an estimate at all. Rather than you start focusing on at a given month, we deliver 5 features. You just get into counts, throughput rather than velocity.
Yes. You mean to count, like how much time is spending the particular ticket in,
number of tickets closed, number of tickets closed, number of features made, like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. What I would like you to hear your approach on another situation is imagine a particular Scrum team member, let's say, have some resentment with upper management. It might be a case of any salary increase rejections and things like that. How do you manage that particular situation in a context of Scrum? Because sometimes is your accountability to inspire people, is your role to manage the emotions of the overall team. So do you find that challenging, or how would you approach that situation?
So I would say that will be a situation in a Scrum or non-Scrum projects, anywhere it can come, and it all depends upon how the equations you have with your team members. My approach would be I try to make these two things separate. I will focus on that better. Yes, you have raised your issue. The organization will do whatever they can. You will do also if you are not satisfied with them, you will find your own ways. Both of you will find your ways, but till the time we are working here, let's make best use of our time. Yeah. So there is no use of not utilizing time, not learning, and spoiling the professional relationship in the team. Because by working, I am also learning. By working, I am also earning credibility. I am earning references. I am earning a story to tell to my future employer that I have done this. So I will say I am here to make sure that you are growing. at least by doing the work, you are growing. Now, if you don't grow with your salary in this company, somebody will be willing to pay you more, provided you keep growing in your work. So I usually, in my experience, I usually separate these issues and I focus on the growth, which is under my control by way of quality of work, opportunities, engagement, and the financial growth and other growth, people find it out. Either the current company will respect that particular skill or somebody else will respect that particular skills. But if you have a skill, there will be a taker for that skill at some point in time. So I focus on building your skill.
Yeah, this is right. Yeah, but sometimes we have like a thing that they go demotivated totally. They want the resentment is at that level that they are it's gonna have an impact on their rhythm of
I
of
know, I
work. So
understand that. Yeah.
they
I
are not
try
gonna
to
work.
just isolate these two things. I don't try to advocate myself that whatever management is doing is right. I don't try to justify that. These are the things I don't do. Yeah, in general.
Mm-hmm.
I don't question their judgment. I don't question their dissatisfaction. I can say, yeah, I understand you are dissatisfied with the organization or the way management is treating you. I don't try to pacify that myself in many situations, but rather I say, here I can help you. Probably these are the things I will do whatever best I can do. Yeah, I be transparent there, but here I have a complete opportunity to help you. And that's where we work together. Yeah.
Or maybe to say that, please do this so I can, whenever I have the chance, maybe I'm gonna say something that is gonna come in your handy. Let's
Yeah,
say
yeah.
to
So in a
have some
way,
cards.
in a way, yes, yeah. But in general, I don't make it conditional. It's not like that. I respect you. I will do whatever I can do for you based on your competencies. And at the same time, for you as well as for us, it's good to keep investing in your own growth and the work. So it is anyway going to impact positively only. There is no negative impact of this work. Yeah. So with you focusing on the work and I still talking, you not focusing on work, I still talking, the chances of impact will be higher when you still focus on the work and still I keep talking.
Okay. So, okay, good. Okay, I would like you to hear your takes on prioritization. For example, you have a bunch of requirements. So you are wanting to, your goal is to see which one has the most urgent priority. And here I would like, I know you don't like to, to cite some particular techniques, but still, I would like to hear which are the best techniques, let's say, because I've seen that you like more, you are focused on ideology more than on techniques.
So my focus here is I want some way to engage people because whoever is the person in the game of the prioritization, they have some way to say something. And based on that, I want to play with the priority. Yeah. So it depends upon how complicated my stakeholder engagements are. So say if there are multiple stakeholders, I may create a Google form and ask, if you have to prioritize these things, this one is up to 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5. And I may tell that everything should not be 5. Yeah. Something like that. So I may collect inputs from various stakeholders and use that as a mechanism of taking a feedback for doing a prioritization. In a safe word, we talk about various kind of technique like WSJF and all, where we focus on identifying cost of delay and then dividing it by the time it takes to deliver, which also a sensible thing. The major issue techniques we can find out value-based prioritization, risk-based prioritization, risk divided by story point or a value divided by story point, ROI-based estimation. These all are great. The only problem is all the variables which we use are very subjective variables. Who tells you the value? Who you really know what is the value of the features? The real value of a feature will only come to know when it gets delivered, not before that,
Yes.
until unless someone is paying you feature wise, which is a very rare thing. So what we really need is agreement from the stakeholders about the value of the feature. Rather than I want to know what is valued. Yeah, again, I need to say based on the best judgment of these 5, 6, 10 individuals, which thing is valued more, which thing is valued less. So I should use some way of collecting feedback to identify the stakeholder opinion towards the value. sorry. Yeah.
Bless you.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You are fluid, I guess.
No, it was all good till the time we started this.
Okay.
So
So
some
let's
maybe
hope.
maybe some allergy. Yeah.
Okay. So I hope you're gonna pass it soon. Okay, let's say it's a case that you ask the stakeholders, you ask everyone, and they are saying that three particular things that are quite separate, they all have the same priority. Okay, they all have the same priority. Now, from the perspective of the team, how do you know which one should get tackled first?
Now, when the value is same,
Yes.
yeah, then I need to see other factors. Maybe a
Mhm.
risk, maybe what can be done faster. One
Yes.
time you can say, okay, guys, these all three are high priority, but which one we can finish first? Let's
Yes.
pick that up. Or which one is technically more important in the form of sequence, or which can help us in creating the desired data, mitigating the risk. So we will take other parameters from technical space. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, I believe you just answered my questions, and I find them very valuable. Okay, right before we started this meeting, I came across a interesting article. It was with a very captivating title. It was like, when is the right time to stop using Scrum? And I didn't have time to check it to read it. So for the while we are at the end of this meeting, I would like just to hear briefly your thoughts on that. When is the right time to not use Scrum? I guess you gave
Yeah, time
some
boxing. So I
details.
basically focus on time boxing. So when I don't need time boxing, I stop using Scrum. Yeah.
Okay. So when okay, good,
Great.
very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great. Nice talking. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
for taking time. Yeah.
thank you very much. See you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.